I compared these two waist length hair creators, Indigenous Strandz and Naptural, to see if there was anything in common between these two ladies that helps them grow their hair down to waist length and even beyond that. And it was really interesting to see that yes, there were some similarities between these two ladies and there were some differences. So I'm going to share with you the 6 pieces of advice that they would share. What's up, curlies? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kiki, and if you are new here, I do all things curly hair tips, product reviews and styling. Today's video is all about the comparison between Indigenous Strandz and Naptural in their hair growth journey and what they attribute their hair length, growth and retention to. Both of these ladies are type 4 naturals that have at least grown their hair to waist length, and in Indigenous Strandz' case, knee length hair. So the practices that they both share really are true and tested, and something that hopefully you'll be able to take away from this video today. The first and maybe most important thing that both of these ladies do is they both utilize protective styles. Now, Indigenous Strandz predominantly uses 2-strand twists. These are more of a medium-sized twist, and she literally will twist her hair. She will leave it for a prolonged period of time. And as I'm referencing Indigenous Strandz, I'm really referring to the time that she spent growing and retaining length. I'm not referring to her current routine. She used 2-strand twists and she ultimately left her hair alone. She wouldn't be in her hair too much. She would literally put her twists in and wear it in a bun so it wasn't kind of like rubbing against any clothing or hanging down, causing friction or anything that could potentially break her hair. She really mitigated all of that by just leaving the hair alone. And she would leave her twists in for months on end. And this is similar, however, slightly different to Naptural. Naptural would also utilize protective styles. She would do things like twists, twist out, braids, flat twists, etc. However, Naptural mentions that she will typically wear hair twists 2 to 3 weeks, and then she will do a wash and go or something of the sort on the other weeks. So she actually doesn't leave her hair completely alone for as long as Indigenous Strandz does leave her hair alone. So although these two factors are similar, they do have slightly differences in how they wear their hair. And if I'm being honest, I can really resonate with Naptural's way of using hair protective styling, because that's something I currently really enjoy doing. Is I like to wear my twists or my braids for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then after that mark, I'll take it down, wash it, and then I will wear my hair out in some sort of wash and go for like a week. Then I will reinstall a protective style. And I think that's a really nice balance of being able to protect your hair and really look after the ends, but also enjoying your curls as well, because sometimes just protecting your hair for weeks and weeks and weeks on end can get a little bit boring and monotonous, and that's absolutely fine. If that's something you can withstand and you don't mind having your hair away, great. But for me, I really like to wear my hair out from time to time. I get a little bit bored, so that kind of method of sometimes having it in twists and protecting it, sometimes having it in twists and having a protective styling, but then also enjoying the curls as well, because the afro and the curls are there for a reason, so we need to enjoy it. The second thing that both of these ladies share in common is their moisturizing routines. Now, both of the ladies do mention that they use aloe vera juice, and then they will seal the aloe vera juice with some sort of oil or like a butter. And in the case of Indigenous Strandz, she also likes to use flaxseed gel on her ends as well. Naptural also mentions she uses a mix of water and aloe vera juice. She will then go in with a like shea butter mix, and that will be her sort of moisturizing routine. And it's really interesting to just consider that both of these ladies like to use aloe vera juice on their hair, and I'm wondering, is that something that I should be incorporating into my routine? At the moment, I'm using like a spray leave-in water by As I Am, and it's working really nicely for me. But I'm thinking maybe I could go even more natural and strip it back to just using aloe vera juice as well, because aloe vera juice is really great for the hair. It really seals the cuticles and it's great for shine, and it nourishes the hair as well. So aloe vera juice might be just the key to retaining that length. But also, it's fair to note that both of these ladies do seal in the moisture. It's not spraying on and then it's evaporating off. They're spraying it on and then they're locking in the moisture with some sort of oil-based sealant, which is going to be really key to making sure your hair stays moisturized. So that was another really interesting point to note that both of these ladies do share in common. Now, a piece of advice that both these ladies actually don't share in common is their wash routines. Now, Indigenous Strandz doesn't wash her hair that often. She mentions that due to her schedule, due to the fact that she had her daughter at the time I'm referring to, she doesn't simply have the time to be washing her hair and doing her hair that often, so she won't wash it really that much. However, Naptural mentions that she does really prioritize clarifying the hair. Usually, if it's in a wash and go, she will do it weekly, but if it's in a protective style, she can do it every 2 weeks. So this is a complete difference within both of these ladies' routines, is that one, on one hand, does not wash hardly that frequently, and then the other one really does prioritize scalp health and washing quite often. And I would really like to know the science behind washing hair and length retention. Some people say that washing too often is counterproductive, and then some people say scalp health is really important. It's important to start with a clean base, and your scalp is skin and we need to remove buildup, etc, etc. However, we see great examples of both these ladies being able to retain length doing both. So ultimately, I think a lot of it is down to your lifestyle choices and just your preference with what you want to do. I'm someone who, similar to Naptural, likes to wash their hair on more of a frequent basis. My hair does get a little bit itchy after like week 1 to week 2, and usually I will stretch my hair to like 2 weeks. If it's in a style like this, I can easily go 3 weeks without washing it, and then I will clarify my hair after that point. Or if it's in a wash and go, I'll be doing it every single week. But not shampooing my hair for like over a month seems to be a bit wild for me, just because I know how my scalp behaves with my workout schedule. So this is something to note, something to think about, but obviously whatever works for you, you will see the best results with. So the fourth point to note on this topic is that it's another difference, and it is that both of the ladies' trim schedules are different. So Indigenous Strandz actually does not trim her hair at all, and we can see that because her hair is so long, like it's knee length. And she does discuss the fact that she wants to reach terminal length, and this is a notion that you will never ultimately see the true length of your hair if you keep trimming it off, which I guess is true. We never know what length our hair will grow to if we ultimately trim it off. However, Naptural, she trims her hair when she sees fit. So we'll hear what Naptural has to say on this topic of trimming her hair and her schedule.
I don't really have a schedule on how often I do this. It's usually just when I feel my ends kind of getting scraggly, if I see single strand knots forming, if I notice a split end. It's probably every 5 to 6 months maybe. And recently I've been trimming my hair on blown out hair rather than curly, solely because I've been trying to get the layers out of my hair. I noticed that a lot of people with extraordinarily long hair, which I'm not trying to get, I'm good. That's not the goal. I just want healthy hair. I noticed that a lot of people with extraordinarily long hair, they have all one length, and I'm pretty sure that helps with knotting and the hair rubbing against each other and the breakage, just having all the ends stop at one level.
On the topic of trimming, I can understand both points of view, but ultimately both of these ladies kind of have this idea that hair, in order for hair to grow long, we shouldn't be trimming it off too frequently. Now, if you can go months on end without trimming, great. At the moment, I'm not someone who can go past 4 months without trimming my hair. I think my hair in comparison to these two ladies is probably on the finer side. I think these two seem to have coarser hair, and my ends look a shambles if I leave it way too long before trimming. And then it kind of becomes counterproductive for me because I get split ends and the split ends move up the hair. So this is something to think about though. If you're someone who's trying to retain length and you're trimming your hair a little bit too often, that can be counterproductive as well. So maybe stretching the hair as long as possible between trims would be something to really consider, and just looking after your ends, because ultimately it is the ends that we see the most damage. And if you're looking after your ends, then really and truly you shouldn't need to be trimming your hair more than every 3 months out of the year. So a similarity that both of these ladies share is the fact that they both speak positively about their hair. Indigenous Strandz does say a lot about spirituality and the connection she has with her hair, and we'll hear what she has to say about this idea of connection to her hair.
I never had a ill thought about my hair, and I was sitting and really thinking like, how am I able to grow my hair so long? And then I kind of had an aha moment. Not only am I growing spiritually with my hair, because I feel the longer that my hair gets, the more that I'm grounded, the more that it's grounding me, and the more I feel like my consciousness is rising. And I know that's hard for a lot to kind of fathom, especially if you're not at that stage yet. But if you are constantly giving yourself thoughts of my hair is beautiful, I love my hair, I love myself, my hair is healthy, it's flourishing, I'm so grateful for it, you know, the more of those thoughts you're going to get back, and the more that's going to manifest from within, and you're going to see your hair flourish from that, okay?
And this is a really interesting one. Naptural doesn't go too in depth with the spiritual side, but she does mention that she doesn't do her hair when she's in a bad mood. If she's feeling angry or upset, that then can translate into how you style your hair and how you handle your hair, because ultimately if you've not got the patience that day, if you're not in the mood and you start detangling, you start ripping your ends out and you start being overly rough and things like that with your hair, then yes, you probably are going to do a little bit more damage than if you were in a much happier mood and you were to just do your wash day in a better frame of mind. So I can really understand the benefits of both of these views of having a spiritual connection, speaking positively about your hair, not having kind of regret or ill thoughts about doing your hair, and then that translating over into your actual wash day and your styling routines. So I get it. I'm probably a culprit of that. I not always want to do my hair. I don't always enjoy, styling my hair for hours on end. And I'm not sure if, and I definitely think that that's something I could take away, is maybe just waiting that little bit longer. If I'm not feeling to do my hair that day and do the wash day and I haven't got the patience, maybe just waiting until even the next weekend to do my hair. But sometimes you just sometimes it's just like the hair needs to get done, the hair needs to get washed, but you've got XYZ to do on that day. There's a lot to think about being an adult and getting chores done, and hair, unfortunately for me, sometimes is a bit of a chore, but we'll try and do better. So the sixth thing I'm going to mention is this topic of detangling. Detangling is a huge part of being a natural, and it can really make or break your hair when it comes to styling. And Indigenous Strandz mentions she literally only uses her fingers to detangle with, and I can see the real pro of using only your fingers to detangle with, because you're not going to break your hair off, you're not going to snap it, and you can ultimately feel where the tangles are and where the knots are, and you can be really gentle with finger detangling. And although it is very, very time consuming, I can really see the benefit. Naptural, on the other hand, she Early on in her natural hair journey, she does discuss using finger detangling, and throughout a bit of more research, I can see that she does finger detangle, but she also uses like wide tooth combs and brushes and things like that. So I wouldn't consider Natural to only do finger detangling. This is not a similarity between these two ladies. I would say Natural definitely uses more tools to detangle with than Indigenous Strandz, and it's really just down to preference at the end of the day. If both these ladies actually manage to attain long, healthy hair with doing both the methods, they're definitely both doing something right, whatever tools that they're using. I think it's just really being mindful about how you use tools, if you use tools, because tools can be great. However, if you get the wrong tool, then it can be ultimately detrimental to your hair care, and just using it in the correct way, because there's ways that we can use a brush. If you might have the best brush in the world, but if you're ripping it out from, you're dragging your hair from the root down to the end, that brush is not going to do any good. Whereas if you maybe get a comb and you tease it out from the bottom and you work your way gently up, then we can also see that the comb in that case might be more effective than the brush. So it's all to do with your own personal handling and your knowledge of how you handle your hair when it comes to detangling, and just being patient overall is, I think, the main thing that we need to just think about when we're detangling our thick and curly hair. I hope you've enjoyed this video on the similarities and differences that both of these ladies share in their hair growth and length retention journeys. Let me know in the comments if any of these things resonate with you. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.